John Fredericks, America's Godzilla of Truth. He's popular and proficient in picking politics with prophetic precision. And now J. Fred's picking sports. Are y'all ready for this? All across the airwaves and streams of the John Fredericks Media Network, John, Jack, and Nate, three guys that are pretty wise when it comes to picking winners. Football, basketball, baseball, soccer, golf, UFC battles, you name it. When the game is on your mind and money's on the line, Godzilla Wins is your guide to picking winners. Before you make that play, hear what J. Fred has to say. Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Oh yeah, for entertainment purposes only.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Godzilla Wins Saturday Pick Show here on October 14th. It is a lovely morning in Mississippi, and we are absolutely jacked to be talking sports this AM. We got a lot on the plate today. First up, we're going to talk the first 30 minutes. We're going to do baseball, little MLB playoffs. We'll talk about what happened to the O's, the Dodgers, and the Braves, and what keeps the Astros clicking. And we'll also discuss our ALCS and NLCS preview and predictions. At the half hour, we'll do about 30 minutes of college football with Dan Angel, handicap some games for you and give us our saucy game pick of the week. And then at the top of the hour, we'll be joined by Sheriff David Clark to talk all NFL. Remember, on the Godzilla Win Saturday Pick Show, we don't just pick the best bets. We give you every single game, and we let you choose which ones you want to play. So we love doing every game in the NFL. We'll do that with Sheriff Clark in just a minute. Just so everyone is aware, Godzilla Wins and all its subsidiaries are for entertainment purposes only. We like to have a lot of fun here, but these are just for entertainment purposes only. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming. 800-327-5050. Visit gamblinghelpline-ma.org in Massachusetts. Call 877-GHOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-3669 in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-522-4700 Kansas, New Hampshire, 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. In Connecticut, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, or visit opg.org in Oregon. All right. Welcome, Dan, senior editor from the Godzilla Wins Saturday Pick Show, and Darian, our social media manager and of the Jersey Sports blog. Great to see you guys.
Hey, unmute my mic here. Let's see. Okay. I got to make a couple of fashion statements here. First of all, we got some background noise. It's Ann's birthday week. I'm in Rivers Casino. She's asleep. I don't want to wake up Mama Bear. And it's raining out, so I couldn't go outside. But I want to make a couple of fashion statements. Number one, Dan Angel. Dude, I love your haircut, man. That is the way to go. Great haircut, right? I know you want to be just like me. I get it. You're looking good. Now, let's get to Darian here. Last couple of weeks, Darian, you're all garbed out. You got all your Orioles bling. Now you got nothing. The hat's backwards. What's the deal? No shirt. I mean, just because you guys get bounced in the first playoffs, man, you're still going to show your pride. Hey, if we got bounced, I'd still be here with my Astro shirt. That's all I want to say. Anyway, you guys are looking good.
I just finally got around to getting a haircut. It was the first time that I'd been to a barber since getting to the islands.
You're looking good, though.
No,
I love
this
it.
This is normally how I keep my hair. I'm just lazy and cheap.
Yeah, well, join the club. Dad has no option other than having his hair cut like that. So I guess it's glad he wears a hat most days. Dad, before we get into it here, why don't you tell all of our listeners, if they are in a state where DraftKings is legal, how can they get involved in what I think is the greatest promo code in the history of
Well,
promo codes?
Godzilla's the promo code, but I love DraftKings. Like, I don't do props, but now you guys have hooked me on like that in-game betting stuff. So I'm like betting games as they're going on. But DraftKings has got a great promo right now because look, they want you to make money, really. And so all you got to do is go to DraftKings.com, download the free DraftKings app to your iPhone or your Android, put in $5. This cup of coffee here at the Rivers Casino is $5. Just go to $5 you put in, you're going to get $200 instantly in free bets right away that you can play. So what you do is you do that now, you put your $5 in, you get 200 in free bets instantly, and then you can follow Dan's picks and make more money. I mean, this is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. Download the DraftKings app now, put in promo code Godzilla. That's promo code Godzilla, and boom, 5 is going to get you 200. Takes Dan picks, takes Darian picks, or fade me. Either way, you're going to make money.
So, okay, we're here now.
Hello, Nate.
Nate's here with us as well.
Hi.
So everybody's here to talk a little baseball as we get started here on the Godzilla Wins show. So a lot of baseball to talk if we wanted to. A lot of playoffs here going on. So what I want to do, though, and we'll start with Darian, although I know it will hurt. We want to talk about the Orioles. You know, this was a team that I think everybody thought was a World Series contender. They had been playing incredible all year long. They hadn't lost a series since last year. Then they run into the Texas Rangers, who haven't lost a playoff game thus far. Super hot team. Darian, just your perspective as a fan on how Baltimore sort of ran into the wrong team at the wrong time.
Yeah, it was gut wrenching to say the least. High expectations this year, but at the same time, look, I don't think that the O's had their best stuff in that particular series. Do I think it's an indictment on where the potential that they have going forward? I don't think so. I think that there are other ball clubs out there, and we'll get to that later, who should be a little bit more embarrassed by their playoff performance. But I think the Orioles, I think they get a bit of a mulligan just because you look at, the lack of experience, particularly with the young stars and Rutschman and Henderson, and a lot of those guys don't really have playoff experience. And then you also look at the lack of pitching. The bullpen depth wasn't the best. And as we're seeing, you're not going to get far in the playoffs without above average pitching. And the Orioles just didn't have it. And so the Rangers capitalized on that. I mean, you look at, the fact that they walked Corey Seager, I think it was 5 times. I think it was the most ever in league history, right? And the fact that, you allow, I believe it's about, over 10 runs. You just can't come back from those deficits. And you can't put all that pressure on the offense. So I think the Orioles, should be proud, but the expectations going into the next season are going to be, a bit higher.
Dan, of the Braves, Dodgers, and Orioles, the 3 big division winners, lots of wins to split between them. Also, the Brewers had a really impressive record during the year, and they came up short in that sort of wild card 3-game playoff. Is there a team, if it's not the Orioles, is there a team, Dan, that should be embarrassed or should be doing a little bit more soul searching? Is it the Dodgers? Is it the Braves?
I think it has to be the Dodgers. You come into this series having dominated your division pretty much all year. I mean, they won that division by 16 games. Arizona did not exactly come in covering themselves in glory, and the Dodgers never once led in the entire series. I think they're the first team in 40 years or something to win 100 games in the regular season and then never once lead in the postseason. And to be completely fair, we kind of knew this was coming from Los Angeles because the Dodgers really overestimated the strength of their pitching staff, but that's really just an indictment on Andrew Friedman. I mean, Los Angeles was not prepared for this kind of series. They thought that they had enough pitching based on Clayton Kershaw holding it together. And it was really just kind of wish casting on LA's part. And once Arizona got into the bullpen, that was it. You can't expect your bullpen to carry you that many innings. The only team that we've seen come anywhere close to doing that was Cleveland in 2016 when they had Corey Kluber and nothing else and came one game away from winning the title. But otherwise, that just does not work.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have all your fancy starters get bounced in the second inning. The Diamondbacks have just been on a tear. I mean, they have great pitching, and now all of a sudden they're hitting. So it's going to be, I think, a problem for the Phillies as well. I don't think that series is as tied up as people think it is. Dad, my question here, and this we'll kind of go around before we do the ALCS preview or the NLCS preview. We'll get some thoughts on this. The big talking point right now is that the playoff format is broken and that the 5 to 7 days off for these teams that win the division is actually a disadvantage because blah, 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 like they get too much rest. And so then they catch a hot team and they're like rusty and they don't get, they never get this much rest during the season. They only get 4 days off for the All-Star break. Brian Snitker was asked this during the Phillies elimination game after the game. And, he said, well, it didn't seem to bother the Astros, so it's not really a good excuse. Is the playoff format broken, or is it just that wild card teams always seem to give division leaders fits in the playoffs?
More baloney coming from the people that hate the Astros, right? Altuve got on social media yesterday, and he had a red hat, Mama, M-A-M-A, Make America Mad Again, and he was smiling, gave the peace sign. I mean, this is the same thing the Yankees did last year when they whined and bitched and wanted a balanced schedule because they didn't get home field advantage because the Astros played 90 games against Oakland and California, right? So this is just the same thing. The playoff format is fine. You got to go out and win the games. You play to win the division to get the bye. It certainly helped the Astros getting those days off. Look, here's what happened to the Dodgers, okay? They spent too much time worrying about drag queens coming out on the field and not enough time about how they were going to win the division. That's what happened to the Dodgers. I mean, this stuff comes back. Hey, when you're going to mock God and you think you're going to win a playoff series, I mean, come on, man. You got to figure this out. As far as the Orioles are concerned.
Hey, listen, I'm going to cut you off there. I'm not going to do this in this morning. Like if you want to have, I'm serious, Dad. If you want to have like a real discussion about sport, if you want to have a real discussion about sports, then we can have that. If you want to go off on this stuff, then I'll get off. I mean, I'm serious. I don't really have the time. I'm a busy man.
Let's get to the playoff format. There's nothing wrong with the playoff format. It is a great format. This is because of the whiners, right? You win the division, you got to go out and beat the next team. And you get the 5 days off and you get home field advantage. And the Dodgers couldn't do it, and Atlanta couldn't do it. And so, the Twins really didn't have a shot in that series. But I want to get to the Orioles, okay, Darren, because I feel your pain. Look, Jack and I went through this 97, 98, 99, winning the division, getting swept by Atlanta. I think we won 1 out of 9 games, right? This is just part of it. You got a good young team. They had a deer in the headlights. And look, they say, oh, Texas is hot. They won 5 games. Look, they get beat one more game in Seattle, they'd already make the playoffs. This team has no pitching. Right. So I think the Orioles, you got a great young team. I fear them going forward. I think they have the ability to win a lot of games and get back in the playoffs and do some damage. You're only getting in the playoffs the first time, one time, and then you've got some veteran experience. So I think you guys are going to be fine, Darian. I really do. But this is just a pain you got to go through. I mean, Jack and I went through this 9 games. Atlanta, we won a game. I mean, it's nasty stuff, but you guys are going to get through it. There's nothing wrong with the playoff format. This is just the whiners.
Yeah. I think that's probably true. Okay. What I want to do first, since we're kind of, we'll do the ALCS picks and preview, and then we'll move to the NLCS very quickly. So we'll kind of go around the horn here. The Astros are the favorite as far as the money goes for the ALCS, but it's not a huge favorite. I believe that's like minus 145 or something. The Texas is plus 125. That may have moved. This is for the series winner. So that's what we're picking here, the series winner. We'll start with Darian. Is Texas the team to beat, or can we just not doubt Houston?
Can't doubt Houston. I think that they have a very powerful combination when you think about not just what they have on the field, but the fact that this is their 7th time there says something. For people that want to bring up their past, I think that we got to kind of really focus and say, hey, like this isn't a one-off or a 2-off thing. This has happened 7 times. You combine that, that experience with the fact that I think that Houston is really, really, you're going to really feel, I think, the force of Houston's offense in this series. Particularly with, I think Alvarez is an X factor. And then you have that complementary hitting, with Altuve, Bregman, Brantley, Abreu's coming around at the right time. I think that the Rangers are going to really feel the Astros in this series on the offensive side. I agree with John. I just don't think they have the pitching to really keep up with that offense. I like the Stros.
Nate, I think you've been fading the Stros all year here. What do you think?
Yeah, I have been fading the Stros all year. I don't know. I mean, I look at these two teams, and the Astros have looked great, better than I thought they would. I sort of thought that Minnesota had a real chance against them, and it didn't really develop into much. But I think that Texas is like a real dangerous team too. I mean, it feels like this is always in the playoffs. Is there's a team that just gets inexplicably hot for like no reason. And you're just like, wow, that team got good all of a sudden. And the Rangers feel like that team. I mean, the hitting is so good. They sort of just figured out enough to do with the pitching. And if they get Mad Max back, which it looks like he's ready to go, I don't know if they're actually going to put him on the roster, but he looks like he's ready to go. Then that changes things too for their pitching. So I don't know. I like the Rangers.
Dan, so I don't really think the Rangers are that hot. I mean, yeah, they won 5 in a row, but if we're talking like hottest team in the playoffs, I guess I might think it was the Diamondbacks, but maybe I'm wrong. What do you think about the ALCS?
Yeah. So before I get to that, I do want to push back a little bit on the playoff format. I do think that it is a little bit dome broken because the reason the Astros and the Rangers, to an extent, have been able to do so well is they were playing meaningful baseball throughout all of October. If you look at it, Atlanta, Los Angeles, and Baltimore all had their divisions wrapped up by mid-September. So it wasn't just that 5-day break. It was another 2 weeks in there. Whereas Houston and Texas both knew they couldn't cede any ground to Seattle. So both of them were playing huge games throughout that. So the rest helped them. It killed the other 3 teams who hadn't been playing meaningful baseball in 2.5 weeks. Now, as for this series, I think it's got to be Houston. I think that Texas's pitching is just not strong enough. I know that the Rangers are supposed to get John Gray back, but the Astros shelled Gray twice in the regular season, so I don't think that's going to make any difference. I think that Max Scherzer, I mean, he was at Missouri when I was, so he's out of bullets in that arm at this point because, let's be honest, I'm 35 now. So Scherzer's even older than that. And, yeah, I just don't see Texas pitching holding up. So I think Houston has to be the pick here.
Michael Brantley's like my age, and he still hits over 300.
Pitching and hitting are different, Nate.
I think he's older.
You're grasping at straws.
Yeah, I mean, Dad, I guess the one thing – so Dan makes a great point, first off, about the playoff format. The Astros and Rangers were playing meaningful baseball. But, I mean, like, teams lock up the division. They've been doing that since the 60s and can still win in October. So, I mean, I don't know. I think it's a lame excuse, but I do kind of understand having 5 to 7 days off, especially for a pitcher that can be difficult. As far as the Scherzer argument goes, I think coming back from injury, that's tough. Verlander's pretty old, and he still looks like he's kicking. So, Dad, we know who you're going to pick, but I guess tell us why.
Well, Houston, obviously, and look, I get what Dan is saying, but that's up to the manager to figure this out. Jack's point is better. But even before this format started, you had teams that would win the pennant by 9 games, and then you go in the World Series and win that. So I just don't buy that. It's just more whining and excuses about this or that. Get your team prepared. Don't be resting all your starters. Whatever it is you got to do. This is on the manager. I thought this was our best matchup going in. When I looked at all the teams, I said, okay, who's the team I want to play? Texas. Why? They just don't match up with us well. Yes, they got bats. Yes, they got Bochy. But I'm gonna compare Bochy to Sean Payton, right? Sean Payton goes to Denver. Oh, he's the greatest coach ever. Bochy's the greatest match ever. You got to have the players. He doesn't have the pitching. This is a team that blew more saves than had saves. That's reality. They have no lights out closer. Who do they got? That guy from Atlanta that's throwing 82 miles an hour? Forget him. They don't have anybody. They don't have the pitching depth. And they're going to bring Max Scherzer back now. All of a sudden, he's going to come back after, not pitching and has an injury. And all of a sudden, magic, he's going to throw 7 innings. I mean, come on, let's get real. This is the best matchup the Astros could have had. I was concerned about the Twins in a short series. I didn't want to face Pablo in Game 5. But you get to a 7-game format, Philadelphia's going to have the same issue. 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5, 2 pitchers, you win. You get to a 7-game format, you got to have 4 starters. Texas has 2, maybe 1. Astros, 5 or 6 games.
I just keep thinking every time you're talking that a waiter's about to drop off a bunch of food to you. Like you're in the middle of a sentence, you're going to be like, "Oh, thanks," and it's going to be like, "Oh yeah, look at this Denver omelet." So I mean, I know it's where you have to be, but every time you're talking, I'm like, "Oh, someone's about to just be like, oh, would you like some more hash browns?" So always tough on Saturday sometimes to find a space when you're traveling around. So look, my pick is the Rangers, and the reason is because I'm just looking at plus money. I mean, pretty much in the playoffs, I would just rather take in the championship series the team with the plus money, because these you just never know what's going to happen, and I don't think the Astros are really that good, to be honest with you. I think they show a lot of experience and gumption, and maybe they get to the World Series, but 3 straight World Series, that's unheard of, and I get plus 125 with the hottest team in baseball, so I'm just going to take that and not overthink it. Dad, one of the things that I never overthink is using REM sleep for Healthy Cell. Tell us how people who need to get better sleep at night can use REM sleep.
You know what? If you don't get a good night's sleep, if you're tossing and turning or you can't fall asleep, doesn't matter how many hours you get. If you're not in the 4 stages of that deep sleep where your cells replenish, especially as you get a little older, you got to get that sleep. But even for athletes, like I got Joe on REM sleep. He just came over the weekend. I gave him 3 boxes. You take this thing 20 minutes before you go to bed, you're going to fall asleep immediately. And then it supports all 4 stages of sleep. So you're going to dream. You're not going to get up 8 times to go to the bathroom. So you're going to stay asleep. And if I get 6.5 hours a night, I'm having a good night in the line of work I do. So that's 6.5, man. That has got to be solid. I can't be getting up 3 times. I can't function the next day. All you got to do is go to healthycell.com/Godzilla, promo code Godzilla, REM sleep, REM. That comes in a package. You just rip it off and down. It tastes great, and it's immediate. It's not like, it takes 2 weeks. First night, you're going to be, wow, where have you been all my life? REM sleep. healthycell.com/Godzilla, promo code Godzilla. Get 20% off your order, 20% off. It's a great deal.
And we love Healthy Cell, and we're glad they're partnering with us. We think that's a terrific partnership and have been really happy with them. So we want to thank them, as always, for supporting us and everything we do at Godzilla Wins. Okay, we got about 7 minutes to talk about the NLCS. Maybe not as interesting, or maybe more interesting. I mean, who knows? The Diamondbacks could surprise some people. Before we go on, and Dan, I'm going to do this one for you. Dad, just very quickly, just a quick question. What is the stadium where the Phillies play? What is it called?
Citizens Bank Park.
Okay, that's incredible that you know that, because in the last 3 articles that you've written and published on our website, you have called it the Vet, which, Dan, when did they blow up the Vet?
They blew up the Vet in March 2004.
Yeah. So in 2004, 19 years ago, they blew up the Vet. And for 3 or 4 articles, you've been like, "Oh man, it's really tough to play in the Vet." And
Vet is going to be rocking.
Yeah, and Dan has been contacting us, being like, "They don't play in the Vet anymore," and we're just like, he might know that, he might not. but
The,
change
the
it.
only
if you want
the only
to.
reason I know it is because one of my listeners called in my radio show yesterday at
Correct
9
you.
a.m. Got on the air and said, "Dude, I love you, but like they don't play in the vet." That was
Yeah.
like 30 years ago.
I wasn't
Even though
quick
they
enough
beat
on
you
it,
there,
that
they
one.
play at it's called Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. That's where they play. Otherwise, I wouldn't. I still thought it was the vet.
Yeah, it's not the vet. It
I
hasn't
know
been
the
the vet
Eagles play in.
for
I know the Eagles play in Lincoln Field because when I go by it, I see the big sign, Lincoln Field.
right.
So you've
Yeah.
gone by it and you didn't notice that the vet's not there anymore.
No, I thought still the vet. What happened to the vet?
Yeah.
I told you they blew it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, at
Like a long
least
time
I
ago.
don't think the Astros are playing in the Astrodome. I know they play in Minute Maid. I've been there. I do know that.
Yeah, we know you know everything about the Astros. Like, but you're publishing articles on other teams. So if you just want to have an Astros column, we know you're not going to say the
All right,
Astrodome is a
so
hard
I
place
just
to play.
all right. Look, I'm a senior citizen. I'm 65.
Oh, here we go.
Give me a break.
Yeah. Here comes the senior citizen thing.
I get 15% off.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
At Shad Park.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, yeah. Look, the Astros play in Minute Maid Park. He knows that. So let's go on to the NLCS then, where the Phillies are going to be hosting the Diamondbacks at Citizen Bank Park. We'll start with Darian again. So Phillies are like minus 170 to win this series. Heavy favorite. That's because the Diamondbacks are the 6th seed, snuck into the playoffs and surprised the Dodgers, or maybe the Dodgers imploded. Do they have a chance, or is this like Phillies domination? I mean, the Phillies look pretty good as always.
Yeah, I think this is pretty much Philly's domination. I think that the biggest thing that is different from this team versus last year is that I think the Phillies have a above average bullpen that can help get them over the hump. I think that their hitting speaks for itself. You have Bryce Harper, and you look at Castellanos in the last game, coming through with a 2-run homer. I think that they now have that perfect synergy of the right amount of offense and hitting with the above average hitting, to really allow for them to get past the Diamondbacks. I just think that it's Phillies all the way, and they have the best home field advantage on top of that, as we've seen many teams crumble in the bank. So I'm going with Philly.
Yeah, they definitely have the best home field advantage. Dan, you like the Phillies here, or any hope in the Diamondbacks?
I mean, of course, the Diamondbacks have some hope, but I think Philly is just too complete of a playoff team for Arizona to really threaten them much in this series. I mean, Philadelphia has been built for the postseason. They showed it last year. They're showing it again this year. And I think the lineup plus the pitching, the Phillies just have the perfect combination to get through the National League. So, yeah, I think the Phillies are the pick here.
2 for the Phillies. Nate, you have a ticket, a real live ticket here that I think you booked back in August on the Phillies. Tell us a little bit about your Phillies fandom right now.
Oh yeah, so I'm just a Phillies fan. I have 22-1 on the Phillies to win the World Series, and I have plus 675 on them to win the NL that I made at the beginning of the playoffs. And I'm just gonna stick with that. I mean, I think the Phillies are a better team. They look a lot like last year's team that made it the World Series, but they have better pitching this year, I think, and they're better defensively. So, I mean, I don't see why it's not possible for them to go all the way and win the World Series. But yeah, I mean, the Diamondbacks do worry me. I mean, it's just their first 2 starters that kind of give me concerns. But there's not a lot with the bats that give me a ton of concern with the Diamondbacks, just from sort of a broad perspective. It's just those first couple pitchers, Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly. But other than that, there's not a ton that worries me about the Diamondbacks. So I think the Phillies probably get through here.
Come on, Dad. Someone's got to pick the Diamondbacks.
I bet the Diamondbacks plus 150 in the series, and I'm pretty excited about my bet. I mean, look, this is unlike Baltimore that had so much pressure on them. This was the thing, Darian. Your team had so much pressure. You had the best record in the AL. You won the conference. Yeah, I mean, you won the division, the East. You had really good teams in there. This Diamondbacks team's got no pressure. They were the 6th seed, right? They basically backed in. Astros swept them. Somebody got beaten. They back in. They have absolutely no fear. They're having fun, and they've got 2 of the best starters right now in the National League. in Galen and Kelly. Now you need more, but look, you've seen what their bullpen's done. I don't trust the Philadelphia bullpen. I think this thing can go six or is going to go maybe 7 games, and maybe the Diamondbacks steal a game in Philadelphia. Zach Galen beats them. You really look at what happened to Atlanta, and I just got to say this. That attaboy Bryce Harper that Atlanta did after the double play in the second game. I mean, this stuff comes back to haunt you. A veteran team like that, making fun of a guy like Bryce Harper, who's all business, Darian and all of you guys, Jack and Nate and Dan, you guys follow baseball. You just can't do that. And then to say, oh, it leaked out of the locker room. That's our sanctuary. I mean, there's reporters that, like, I'm in the media. If I'm in there and they say that, you bet your bottom tail I'm going to write it and post it. And so it was a dumb thing for Atlanta to do. It motivated Philadelphia. I don't think they have the same motivation here. Remember, this is the first series. Just think about this, Dan. It's the first series Philadelphia's been in this run where they're the favorite. Every other series, they've been the underdog. Every single one. Now they're the favorite against a team that's having fun, who doesn't care who's loose. I think Arizona is going to win this thing.
That Bryce Harper take is like the coldest take in the history of takes. If this were 2017 and we were talking about how the Astros, all they did was mock the Dodgers in the World Series constantly. Yuli Gurriel and Carlos Correa. I mean, we're talking like trash talker, like mania in that series. And then in other series, so much trash talking that Gurriel had to serve a suspension for it. And then to like be like, oh, like you can't do that. Like if this were the Astros, you'd be like, oh, you absolutely can do that. They're competitors. Not only that, they're, men of faith who are like the greatest humans on the history of the earth. So like,
but if you do that, you got to win, right?
Well, I mean, it's hard to win. It's hard to win in Philadelphia.
That, you got to back it up. Atlanta didn't back it up, and then they're whining again. I mean,
they're
what
not
a
whining.
bunch
That's
of
not
whiners.
True. They
were whining about it. Come on, it was in the locker room. That's our sanctuary. You shouldn't really gotten out. Well, then shut up then, right? If you don't want it to get out and get on the bulletin board the other team, then shut up, right? Go win your game and go on a plane and go to Philadelphia, right? All they did was motivate the Phillies. They couldn't back it up, and that's a soft team. That's a soft team. All you Atlanta fans out there, you got a soft club. We got a hard club. You got a soft club.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's not even real. Like that's not a thing. Like these people are like professional athletes. Like they're not like soft people. And Braves, like
the culture's soft. That's what they got.
No, it's not.
A soft culture, and then they whine. You're always whining.
I'm gonna move on, but like you just use culture as a moving target to say just whatever you want. And the minute the Astros lose, you are the biggest whiner. Not only that, we sit on the NFL and all you do is complain about how the Titans have to go to London. Like as soon as one of your teams loses, you're like the biggest crybaby in the history of the world. So, that's another cold take from you here. Okay,
it's square pick.
Yeah, I like. It's the jet lag. That's right. I like. I like the Phillies. I mean, geez, they're so good. All they do is they're like smothering. So I don't know. I mean, this is a series I think is probably over in 5 just because the Phillies are good, and I think the Phillies probably win the World Series and. It might be kind of exciting to see that. So it's certainly exciting for Nate. Maybe he'll share some of the wealth with the rest of us. I'll send him a Venmo request the day maybe they win. Although if the Astros win, Dad could share some of the wealth too. So maybe I'll just Venmo request everybody. I'm the only one losing at gambling, which I did because I put the Braves were down to. This is how stupid I am. The Braves are down 2-1, and I'm like, okay, so I get. A 2-1 odds for them to win the series. All they got to do is win 2 games. They're the Atlanta Braves. That's all they do is win. They got Strider on the mound. He's going to shove. They go back to Atlanta. So anyway, I lost that bet. So that was great. Okay, let's move on to some college football here in a minute. But before we do that, I really got to I got to talk about Beard Vet Coffee. Dad made a comment in the Getter chat that Beard Vet Coffee is the greatest coffee in the history of the world, and he misses it. He's down there drinking some lesser known coffee that's not as good as Beard Vet. Listen, Beard Vet Coffee incredible coffee. You go to beardvet.com, you put in the promo code Godzilla, you get 10% off all your coffee and beard needs here. I use this promo code constantly. I go to Godzilla Wins I go to beardvet.com all the time and use the promo code Godzilla. I get the whole bean coffee. I grind it up. It's just incredible coffee. And, these guys have a great story. They both Sean and Kenny served in Afghanistan. They're veterans. They wanted to come home and do something a little bit different with their experience. They couldn't get a good cup of coffee in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I believe that really fueled what they want to do here. So they're an incredible company. We're glad they support us. And if you like coffee and you like deals, go to beardvet.com. That's beardvet.com. You put in the promo code Godzilla, just like Godzilla Wins. Put in the promo code Godzilla, 10% off all your needs. Okay. College football. Dan, very quickly, before we move on, just for anyone who missed it, how did Colorado implode? You're like our Colorado watchdog here.
Yeah, I think Deion Sanders and his team could use some Beard Vet coffee because they just slept through the second half. And Amy and I were at the Taylor Swift thing, and we walk out, and I find out Colorado's blown a 29-0 lead to a Stanford team that managed to lose to Sacramento State. And that's just a debacle of epic proportions. And it's probably going to keep Colorado home for bowl season now, because now they have to beat a ranked team in order to get to 6 wins. And that's going to be very tough to do.
Yeah, I mean, they're going in the wrong direction. And this is the problem. Good teams, they get better as the season goes on. Teams that aren't focused, maybe like Colorado, lose these games. You should never lose a game to Stanford, a team that lost to Sac State like that. So Dan is our number one Colorado watchdog. He has the receipts, and he's showing us them today. So tough loss. Really, I mean, not a tough loss, just embarrassing. Let's go to some teams that actually might play in a bowl game here. We're going to handicap a couple games. Darian, welcome to stick around here. You can throw in some of your thoughts. I know you follow college closely. So we're going to start with Texas A&M and Tennessee. Texas A&M is a 3-point dog here, traveling to Knoxville. 54.5 is the total. So we'll start here with Dan, because I believe, Dan, I think this is one of your picks for GodzillaWins.com, I believe. Yeah, okay. So what do you see in the Texas A&M Tennessee game?
I mean, the biggest thing that I'm looking at is the way that Texas A&M lost earlier in the season to Miami was because Miami threw it all over A&M's secondary, and Tennessee hasn't really shown the ability to do that. The Vols' strength is running the football with Jalen Wright and the rest of their stable of backs, but A&M has the best ground defense in the SEC so far. So the Aggies are only giving up 84 yards a game on the ground. So I got to take Texas A&M in the points here. I just don't think that Tennessee's style of play matches up well with this Texas A&M defense.
Nate.
Yeah. I think that Dan has a lot of good points. I mean, it just feels like a defensive battle to me. Texas A&M has a great defense, like Dan mentioned. Tennessee is not usually a team that I think of historically and think excellent defense, but they actually do have a pretty good defense this season. I'm not totally sold on either offense. Obviously, A&M has the injury to Connor Weigman, and then Joe Milton has ESPN articles written about him and his gigantic arm for Tennessee, but he doesn't really turn that into a ton of productivity. I think the under is probably where I'd lean here. I just don't think that either of these offenses are probably going to get a ton going against these defenses. So that's sort of where I lean on this.
Okay, so Darren, what do you think here? Texas A&M traveling to Knoxville.
Yeah, I'm willing to lean and agree with Nate on this as far as the under. I think that's the play. I agree. I don't really see much production out of Tennessee's offense. It's kind of been a lackluster type of offense. We expected more out of Joe Milton, but yeah, I think that these defenses are going to make it a very close game. So I think the best player is the under.
Yeah, so everybody likes the under here. Dad, I know you're going to pick Tennessee. Why?
Oh, I love Tennessee because Jimbo Fisher can't win a game on the road without the 13th man. The guy hasn't beaten a legit team on the road since Missouri in October of 21. A loss knocks them out of any chance to win the West. This thing is going to turn into a nightmare again for Jimbo Fish. It's going to be a Halloween nightmare because he's got to play Ole Miss, lose there, going to play Alabama, lose there. He's going to get beat today. Look, the Tennessee offense is legit. This is the other thing. They got 2 weeks. They had the bye, right? Tennessee's got the bye. They're at home. They had an extra week to prepare. I like Joe Milton III. I think he's done a fine job filling in. But I tell you the thing, I love I love the run game, right? I love Tennessee's three-headed monster. They got three backs. They got one guy's got 400 yards, 300 yards, 200 yards. Wright, Small, and Sampson. They got three backs. Any of them can take it downfield. They got a big offensive line. This is going to be another disaster for Jimbo Fisher, and then they're going to fire his ass after this season because the guy doesn't win. I love Tennessee here, -3.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, look, Jimbo Fisher, he doesn't often win games on the road, but you never know. Tennessee's not exactly like a world beater here. USC at Notre Dame, that's our next game. This is a huge one. This is epic proportions, big rivalry. Both teams look good. Both teams look ranked. We'll start with Dan this time. USC is a 2.5-point underdog. 60.5 is the over-under, so a little bit high. Not like for college, it's not like crazy, but it's a little bit higher. Dan, what do you see here? I believe this was one of your picks on Godzilla Wins as well.
This actually was not one of my picks.
Oh, okay.
But I hate this game because Notre Dame, for whatever reason, just seems to feel the need to just get too cute by half. I mean, the Irish just do not do the things that correlate with the strengths of their team. And I think that might actually serve them well in this game because USC's big weakness is the pass defense. And Sam Hartman should throw all over the Trojan secondary. I mean, USC is getting shredded through the air, but by the same token, I don't think Notre Dame can stop Caleb Williams. So I think that 60.5 is very much in play. I really like the over here.
Yeah, I think I like the over too. Nate, what do you think? Can Notre Dame stop Caleb Williams?
We're all unanimous so far. I like the over as well, for exactly reasons Dan said. I mean, USC's secondary has been horrible. I think that they're bad enough to make even sort of a Notre Dame team that looks pretty sluggish sometimes look pretty good. And I'm not, Notre Dame's they held Ohio State to 17. They held Duke to 14. But there's a lot about this defense that looks like it's kind of like bend, don't break. They do allow some pretty sustained drives. That doesn't feel like a sustainable way for them to be playing defense. And I don't think that Caleb Williams is the guy that they're going to slow down, once he crosses the 40-yard line. So I think the over is probably in play as well. That's just sort of where I'm at with it.
Dan, you want to pick the spread, or Darian, you want to pick the spread?
No, I'm more so. I'm more interested in the over. I think it's a unanimous pick or a unanimous decision.
There we go.
Going forward.
I just pick the spread.
Yeah, I can't disagree with what I've heard so far. And I think also too, where you're gonna really see the impact is more so on that Notre Dame defense. You look at some of the rushing attacks that they played recently. You look at the Ohio States and Dukes. I mean, it's completely different from what USC is bringing to the table in their rushing attack. With Marshawn Lloyd. So I think that they're going to really put a lot of pressure on them. But I think this at the end of the day is going to be a shootout. I'm going with the over.
I'm scared for you guys. This game's getting up 9-7. And all these unanimous decisions, and it'll be like, oh, Caleb Williams threw 95 picks. Dad, I know you're going to pick the spread.
I'm going to cash a ticket. This is my best bet of the week. I love the Trojans here, plus 2.5. Notre Dame's done. Okay. They're never going to recover after putting 10 guys on the field against Ohio State to blow that game. They got 2 losses. They're out of the playoffs. Their season's over. Good riddance. You got Caleb Williams in here. Plus their tank's empty. Got to remember, they played Ohio State, then Duke, then Louisville. Now they got to turn around, play USC. I just don't see them getting the energy here. Maybe they need some beard bed coffee. By the way, Dion, we do have the receipts, 29 of them. Just saying. I love USC here. And I tell you the other thing, Caleb Williams is the best athlete on the field. I mean, that to me is worth something. So I'm going to take 2.5 Trojans.
All right. So That'll pick the spread there. Rest of us going with the over. Let's move on to Miami at North Carolina. I love this game. I'm glad it's on the schedule. This I know, Dan, that this was one of your picks. I know I keep saying that, but this wasn't either. Okay, maybe I should start writing picks because I'm the one who writes the schedule. So I'm all fired up for these games, thinking, yeah, Dan agrees with me. These are all his picks too. Miami at UNC. I love this game because I don't know. I like Drake May. I like UNC. I like watching this team play, and I think Miami's pretty good as well. They had that that really, really dumb loss last week where they didn't take a knee and then fumbled or whatever. So that was really stupid. Miami 2.5-point dog traveling up to Chapel Hill, 56.5-point over under. Dan, what do you think? You like UNC here?
I mean, the reason I didn't put this game on here was because I don't think it's going to be all that close. Like, I'm not impressed with Miami. I think that the Hurricanes have played a really soft schedule to this point. They have a win over Texas A&M, which, okay, the rest of the schedule, Temple, Bethune-Cookman, Miami of Ohio, and a loss to Georgia Tech. And I'm supposed to be impressed with any of that? And I mean, this really just looks like one-way traffic. I think North Carolina is going to get its 5th straight win in this series. I think 2.5 is a really low number for where these teams really are. So I'm on the heels big time.
Nate, is this going to be a blowout?
I mean, I'm inclined. I kind of agree with Dan. I'm again looking at the total and thinking that the over is sort of in play here, just because Miami looks so terrible. I was weirdly locked into the Georgia Tech game while I was at work behind the bar on Saturday. I had the ACC network on. We were just grinding on Georgia Tech, and the defense looked horrible for Miami. And if they looked horrible against Georgia Tech, I have to think they're going to look worse against like an actual good offense with Drake May and North Carolina. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of scoring here. That's sort of where my head goes again as towards the total. I think the over is in play at 56.5, I think.
It's 56.5. I think the over is always in play when UNC's on the field and they can really score.
And they play so fast.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah. Darian, you got a pick here?
Yeah, I love the Tar Heels in this. And just to pick up on what Nate was putting down as far as how fast they are, they're one of the fastest teams in the country. I think they're second ranked in per second as far as per play. So that's going to really put a lot of pressure on Miami's defense, specifically in the secondary, right? You know, this secondary, I believe it was Texas, it was Connor Wegman who threw for over 300 yards against the secondary, and you got Drake May coming in. It's going to get real ugly. And then I also got to give the lean to the Tar Heels because of this, the coaching factor. Mac Brown is not going to make stupid decisions like not kneeling when you need to kneel instead of running the play. So I just think that not only do the Tar Heels have advantage on the field, but I think that the fact that the coaching is going to be, we're going to see a coaching masterclass, and the offense for the Tar Heels is going to show out. I'm leaning UNC.
Dad, Drake May show here?
Listen, I think what Darian just said, I kind of thought about that, but I didn't really know how to put it in words. The edge in the coaches is dramatic, right? I mean, how do you not take a knee when the game's over? What kind of a moron calls a?
So bad.
The last time this happened, Nate, I don't even know if you guys were around. You might have been 2 years old. Was Parkway Joe Pisarcik of the Giants doesn't take a knee at the end of the game. He fumbles the ball, and the Eagles guy picks it up and runs 80 yards as the clock ran out. I mean, you can't have a more moronic play than that. And look, Drake May is going to carve up this Miami defense like a Christmas ham. This thing is really going to be a blowout. But I agree with Darian. I mean, coaching comes in the play, but can somebody explain why? Dan, just let me ask you this and then mute me. Why didn't they take a knee, end the game, and go home? Why?
I think you're muted, Dan.
Okay, now I'm unmuted. I genuinely have no idea. I mean, it's Like,
It's just ridiculous.
I mean, and I say that as someone who would love to see football steal the old Arena League rule and require teams to gain yardage to keep the clock running in the last 2 minutes. But as long as that's not a rule, yeah, Miami absolutely should have taken a knee right there.
Yeah, and look, if there was one person on this panel who I thought might have an angle as to like, okay, well, here's kind of, I can see it would have been Dan. So if Dan's like, no, that was stupid, then trust me, it was stupid. And it was. And I mean, like, that's why.
Are you trying to tell me something there, Jack?
I just think you're very, you're always open to different perspectives, I think especially when compared to my father, who is not as open to multiple perspectives and is a little bit more black and white. You might come in with a little bit, okay, like, here's the analytical reason, or here's the reason that he gave in the press conference, etc. So yeah, I think you have a little bit more sympathy for some of these decisions when they're made in game. But if you're saying it's dumb, then that means it's dumb. Okay. So let's go on to Oregon at Washington. We're going to move pretty quickly because we got to get to our saucy game of the week here. So we'll go very quick through Oregon at Washington. Although I got 2 Pac-12 games. Nothing better than Pac-12 football right now. Oregon 3-point dog. 67 is the over. Nate, I'm going to start with you because you love the Huskies this season. What do you like in this game?
I like Oregon here. I think that 3.5, kind of depending on where it is, I think, looks very reasonable. I mean, what is Oregon? Oregon hasn't done anything wrong this year that makes me think like, oh, like they could lose to this team. Washington's defense doesn't look that good. Oregon's offense looks incredible. All they've done is just smash people. Oregon has enough defense to hang with Washington. I like Oregon as an underdog here. Maybe that's a sucker play, but I just don't see it.
Darian, is that a sucker play?
I don't think it's a sucker play at all. I like Oregon as well. I just think that the Washington's defense, particularly on the rushing side of things, is going to be really susceptible to what Oregon is bringing it. You have a ton of running backs. It's going to take the pressure off of Bo Nix, and I like Bo Nix when he doesn't have a lot of pressure on him. I think he's a little more efficient and he has a lot of help with his running backs and receivers. I like Oregon in the over in this game.
Yeah, look, Backyard Bo, when the pressure's on, not exactly the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. Dan, any love for the Huskies?
I mean, I think it's going to be an excellent game. I think these teams are about even, and I think Brian Harsin and Auburn have to be absolutely kicking themselves given how little support they gave Bo Nix while he was in the SEC. And now they're watching what Bo Nix is actually capable of with a team that actually protects him and a coach that actually understands how to get the most out of him. And I think this game is going to come down to last possession wins. Oregon bit itself last year by getting a little too aggressive, but I think that this time that actually turns out to go in the Ducks' favor. I think with the faith Dan Lanning has shown in his team, Oregon comes out ahead in a really tight game. So I like the Ducks on the points here.
Dad, you like the Ducks?
Ducks +3. Why? Defense. This game is going to come down to somebody's got to stop somebody. Hey, don't look now. Oregon, 17th best defense in college football, D1 football, 17th. Washington, you can't find them, right? They're like 90. I like the Ducks in this game. I think they're a better team. I think this is a team of destiny. So I'm going to go with Oregon. I'm going to take the 3.
So looks like a lot of Oregon love here. I don't know. Michael Penix, the Huskies, they're pretty good. So we'll see. I do think it's going to be an excellent game. I'm all in on Pac-12 football for the last year of the Pac-12 because it's really a shame. All these teams look really amazing. So this has been a lot of fun. Let's go to our Red State Barbecue saucy game of the week. Another Pac-12 game here. In UCLA travels to Oregon State. I think this is going to be another excellent game. DJU and the Beavers host UCLA in the Fighting Chip Kellys here. Dad, tell us a little bit about Red State Barbecue and the amazing products that they are offering with our promo.
You cook, you get like chicken, you get brisket, you get beef, right? You get steak, you get hot dogs, you get hamburgers, you get anything good. You're grilling, you want to get Red State Barbecue. You got 7 different flavors. I love them all. All right. I can't get out of my Red State BBQ. And I tell you what, you're going to be watching football, baseball this weekend. You're going to be cooking, grilling. You want to get your Red State BBQ. They're a great sponsor. There's our saucy game of the week coming up. It's going to be saucy. You want the sauce. Look, I am now such a fan of Red State barbecue that I carry it with me. I got some right upstairs because when I have dinner somewhere out, I like putting on my Memphis sweet. So I just carry that great barbecue sauce. All you got to do, folks, is go to BB Red State
RedStateBBQ.com.
Yeah, Red State. Sorry about that. RedStateBBQ.com. You put in promo code Godzilla 10, you're going to get 10% off. And they're a great sponsor of ours. This is one of the best barbecue sauce arrays you're ever going to get, and you're going to get hooked on it. Just go to RedStateBBQ.com, promo code Godzilla 10, get 10% off.
Okay, Dan, I think you and me, we've been on the Oregon State Beavers for a long time. This is, I think, a team that really can make some noise here. What do you see in their big game against UCLA? They're minus 3.5 point favorite, over under 54.
I mean, it's just a universal truth for the past two and a half years. You do not bet against Jonathan Smith and the Beavers in Corvallis. Oregon State, since fans returned to the stadiums after the pandemic, 16-0 against the spread at Razor Stadium, 15-1 straight up. The one exception was a 3-point loss to USC when Oregon State saw them a 5-point dog. So the Beavers are fantastic at home. It's probably going to be a wet game, which is not something that helps UCLA's cause at all. I think Oregon State takes this one pretty comfortably.
Nate, you're over there yawning. You must like UCLA.
I kind of do. I kind of like UCLA. I mean, this is just such a big game for both of them because they both have to win basically to stay in the Pac-12 sort of race in this crowded and excellent Pac-12 before it all gets blown up. I sort of like UCLA, just kind of just on numbers alone. I like the plus 3.5. So I'll take UCLA here. I think that they can probably run the ball a little bit against Oregon State. They look vulnerable there, and just hang around and keep this close.
Dan, Nate is not an Oregon State believer. He never has been this year, but he is going to be proven wrong. He hates Oregon State, so he's always fading them. Darian, what do you think? You like you're fading? Are you fading the Beavers?
I like the Beavers here. I really do. I think that DJ again at a different. I think that DJU is playing at a different level, specifically. Right now, when you look at the fact that I think he's thrown for 3 touchdowns he's thrown for 3 touchdowns, 13 touchdowns so far. I think he's on a hot streak, and I think that the UCLA defense is going to try to trip him up. But I like his experience and like the streak that he's on right now to put a lot of pressure on that UCLA defense. So I'm going to lean to Oregon State.
Dad, you love the Beavs?
In this, I love the Beavs, but I'm not laying 3.5 against that UCLA defense. I'm just not going to do it. One big stop at the end wins this game. This is going to be a shootout. I don't know who's going to win, but when I'm getting 3.5 in an evenly matched game, I gotta take it because I think UCLA can win this game. Now, I like the Beavers. I think they're a really good team, but UCLA is underestimated. They play good defense. One big stop wins it. I'm going to take the 3.5 with UCLA.
We're in October. College football heating up. This has been a lot of fun to talk about. We're going to keep doing this all season long. We want to thank Darian Kelly of the Jersey Sports Network. You can find him on Twitter at DKSports410. That's at DKSports410. Happy to have him on the show as always, and senior contributor to GodzillaWins.com, Dan Angel. Find him on Twitter at DanAngel11 and on Instagram at Dan.Angel11. Always a pleasure, y'all, having y'all with us for the show. Fun to talk some baseball and fun, as always, to talk college football. Go to GodzillaWins.com. Find all of your football and baseball coverage. We got some picks coming up for the ALCS and NLCS that we'll post today. And Dan has two expert picks right now, as well as your kind of college football week 7 preview. So you can check those out on the site as well. Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Darian. Coming up Next, we're going to be joined by Sheriff David Clark to talk NFL for a full hour. Got all the games coming up in a moment. We will see you soon.
You're listening to Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network. For a deeper dive without the jive, visit the website of winners, GodzillaWins.com. Let's get back to the show with the guys in the know, John, Jack, and Nate. It's Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
And we are back. I don't see Sheriff Clark. He may be trying to log on here pretty soon. But if he isn't here, then we'll just roll with the three of us. Dad, I know you got to go at 9:30, and we can just, me and Nate will just roll for that 30 minutes if we don't have Sheriff Clark. No problem. Look, a lot of talk with the NFL. Always fun to do it, regardless of who's on the show. We'd love to talk a little NFL here. So before we do that, Dad, tell us a little bit about My Pillow. How can people get involved with My Pillow and the My Pillow 2.0?
Let me just say this. If you love our show, if you love what we're doing, if you find it fun, then Mike Lindell has stood behind our company from the beginning. And Mike Lindell, I don't agree with him on everything. I really don't. But I love the guy. He's got a great heart. And when we started this thing and I asked him to sponsor us, he's like, dude, you know what? I love everything you're doing. I love the fact you got your family involved. No problem. It's the kind of guy he is. And I'm just doing this as a personal appeal. Right now, his company's in trouble for a variety of reasons. He's been debanked, deplatformed. People threw him out of the big box stores. But he makes a great product. And he's got thousands of employees that he's trying to keep. He hasn't laid anybody off. So I'm just asking you right now, go to mypillow.com, promo code FUN, F-U-N, promo code FUN. You can find something there, slippers, sandals, the comforter. I love their comforter. We got the mattress, we got the mattress topper, towels. So all great deals. By the way, slippers are now down to $39.95. He knocked another $10 off with promo code FUN just for us today. So there's a lot of things that you can get there. His pillows are great. The company is super. The products are fantastic. The savings are unbelievable. But you help your friends in the time of need. And his company's hanging by a thread. American Express cut his credit line from $1 million to $100,000. Same thing happened to me in my business, not at that level back in the day. But, you start cutting credit lines. You can't make payroll. Your company unravels. So help Mike Lindell out. Help out a great company, save his employees, and do a good thing for yourself. Just go to mypillow.com right now. Promo code FUN. You can find something there. And I want to thank Mike and My Pillow and his employees for standing behind us here at Godzilla Wins. Thank you, Mike.
Okay, so we want to talk a little NFL here. Dad, I can't get over the setting here. Looks like it's getting a little busier there in the restaurant.
Like you're in a cafeteria, yeah.
I had this great plan. Great plan to go outside. I had scoped out last night. I didn't factor in rain. It is pouring here in Pittsburgh, so I really had no choice. And I certainly wasn't going to wake up Mama Bear after her big birthday night. So I wasn't doing that. So this is my only option. Now it's getting busy.
Total. I mean, it is what it is. It's not that big a deal. It's just kind of funny to watch everyone file in. I don't usually eat breakfast before this show, and like maybe a handful of granola. My refrigerator pantry. It's a pretty sad state of affairs. I don't really have food ever. Like I have it. It's there. I just don't, so I wake up and I'm just like, whatever. So, maybe a handful of granola, but I'm just getting more and more hungry looking at you in the restaurant.
He's eating. Did you see him eat?
Save your appetite. Save your appetite for when you come home for Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving at our house is a 5-day continual feast. So
absolutely.
Save your appetite.
I just keep thinking someone's going to drop off a Bloody Mary at your table in a minute, and then you're going to get started. Then you're starting to get real fired up about the Titans, who we're going to start with this week. We're going to start with the Tennessee Titans and the Baltimore Ravens because that's the first game on the schedule here. So the Ravens are going to travel Tennessee, I believe. Tennessee is a 4.5-point dog, even though they're hosting the game. Over under is 42. The Ravens blew a huge game in the divisional game against the Steelers last week, 17-10. Titans looking like the Titans. Sometimes they win, sometimes they don't. Nobody really cares either way what happens except for Dad. So we'll start as always with Dad. Got to give him the mic here. What do you see in the Ravens-Titans game? You like the 4.5, weird spread. I never liked 4, but Vrabel is an underdog. Keep giving him points. You can't really count him out.
I mean, I'm going to take the 4.5, but who the hell knows, right? I mean, if you're a Titans fan, you don't know from game to game. They get beat 27-3 by Cleveland. Then they crush the Bengals. Then they blow a game last week with, guys running, with 80-yard touchdown runs against what was the best defensive line in the NFL. They were number 1 against the run. You don't know what team comes. Here's the thing that pisses me off about this game. 9:30 start. Sunday is my day to recover and sleep in and hang around. Now I got to get up and I got to set the clock to watch a football game. Now you got to be kidding me. That pisses me off.
This is the London game?
Yeah, the London game. So I got to get up and I got to get up at 9 and it's not like football. By the time 1 o'clock comes, you've done your thing. Now you're going to maybe put some on the grill. But I'm going to go up and have a bowl of oatmeal and watch the football game. It doesn't work.
All right, well, okay. First off, you've never had oatmeal in your life. That's not what you need for breakfast.
Healthy.
And now you just sound like a coastal elite, being like football starts at 1. I mean, Nate tunes in at 9 a.m. every week, 10 a.m. Dan's got to get up at 3 a.m. to watch the Panthers play. So. You sound kind of like a coastal elite. I love the London game because, I wake up, I throw it on, and, I'll be making coffee or something, watching football. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But, now you sound like, like the East Coast elite there being like, I need to rest on Sundays because I've been trading in the stock market all week and I can't have a game until 1 o'clock.
I can't go to church. I mean, I can't, you can't go to church, right? So you got to do the church online thing. So that means I got to get up at 8. Forget it. Anyway, look, I'm going to take.
We're just going to have two screens going, church on one and Titans on the other.
Oh no, you can't. Yeah, you can't do that. No, that's
and what, wrong. Dad? What church do you? What church?
No, it's not a bad idea, Nate. Wait a minute. Now that Nate thought about that, that's not. You can put the computer on. You can put the church service on. Catholic service on the one thing, and you got the Titans game on the other. You know what? Two things at once. Now that I think of it, Nate, it's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll try that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's Dad eating oatmeal and going to church. Okay, so
you're right. I don't eat oatmeal. That's a euphemism, but I do eat bacon, so I'll have some bacon.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, not turkey bacon. Not turkey bacon.
I never ate. Is there such a thing as turkey bacon? Someone make that?
There is. Okay, so Nate, do you like the Ravens? I kind of like the Ravens. I mean, screw the Titans. They suck.
Yeah, I kind of like the Ravens too. So I mean, I guess so. I want to backtrack a little bit, just briefly, and I know that we have time issues always. But remember when for 2 weeks, John was talking about how big football was trying to screw the Titans by making them play the Jaguars on their second week in London, and then it turns out they didn't play the Jaguars at all in their second week in London, and they're actually playing a fresh team this week in London.
Yeah.
So because John misread the schedule, I've just been thinking about that for 2 weeks, because it was just this huge conspiracy that ended up not being a thing. I like the Ravens here. The Ravens are getting healthier. The Titans, this would be a time for them to have sort of a down week. They have a bye week next week. The Ravens should be a lot better than their record indicates at this point. I mean, the game against Pittsburgh was just a disaster, and they should not have lost that game. So I'm into the Ravens, -4 here.
I like the Ravens too. I like the bounce back game. They blew that game in Pittsburgh. It is hard to bet against Vrabel as a dog, but I don't know. I think the spread is a little too. I mean, it's just if it were 6, Obviously, I'd like the Titans, but I think 4.5. It's not enough for me to really consider the Titans as a serious option. They're just not that good. The Ravens are much better, and the game's in London, so it's not really home field advantage. That does stink to have a home game taken away. But it's not home field. It's a little bit of home field for Jacksonville, but it's not for anyone else. So it's kind of annoying that they take a home game away from the Titans, like London somehow is a home game. It's not. Okay, let's move on to Riverboat Ron and the Washington Commanders taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Here's two teams that dominate the headlines every week. I'll start here. So the Commanders are a plus 2.5 point underdog going into Atlanta, playing in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, over under 42. A lot of the totals are set at around 42, 43 this week. I think if I had to take a side, I might take the Falcons, but you really have to consider the fact that Desmond Ridder has only really played one or two games where he looks even remotely usable. And I'm not sure that this is a week. You just can't really rely on him to continue to do this every week in and week out. I mean, they do have a good running game, but the Commanders have like an okay run defense. I kind of like the under here, Nate, at 42. I don't think either of these teams really can score. I think when you got two quarterbacks like, what is it, Sam Howell and then Desmond Ridder, like, why not just take the under and root for chaos? I think that might be my best play here, but I don't know. I mean, the Falcons are a better team than Washington. They could beat them by 6, but I just, you can't trust Desmond Ridder. He can have kind of a horrible game pretty quickly. So what do you think, Nate? You like that? I mean, what do you think? I like the under. That's just where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a strong opinion on this game. I'm probably not going to bet it for the purposes of just talking and arguing, though. I guess I'm going to lean with the Falcons. Just, they kind of showed me something last week, against the Texans. I think that, they should be able to score against Washington. I'm pretty low on Washington, probably lower than most people are that watch a lot of football. I just think they're terrible. And probably some of that's NFC East bias, but I'm still optimistic about the Falcons. I still think Desmond Ridder can get it done against mediocre defenses, which Washington has. So I'm going to keep going back to the well with the Falcons, just in terms of principle.
Dad, you like Riverboat Ron. I mean, you kind of like Washington. Is this a game where you want to take those plus 2.5? If it was plus 3, I'd like it, but I don't know. What do you think?
No, I'm taking the Dirty Birds here, baby. At home, they run the football. Washington's run defense, I don't know. It's questionable. Look, they got blown out. I mean, I bet him, what was that, Monday night or something? What Sunday night, whatever that game was, they got absolutely crushed. So look, forget it, right? I mean, you look at this team, once in a while. At some point, Ridder is going to have to turn into an NFL quarterback. Maybe that's going to be this weekend. But I like Arthur Smith. I think he's going to have a really good running game plan. I mean, they kick a lot of field goals. It's like your brother Joseph says with the Titans. They die by field goal, death by field goal. But I think we're going to get a lot of field goals in this game. They're going to control the clock. They run the ball well. They got some wrinkles. I guess I'm looking for Ridder to step up in one game and have a breakout game. Maybe this is it. You saw Washington on TV last week where they sucked. I can't bet this team. I'm going to take the Birds, Dirty Birds minus a 2.5.
Yeah. Toby Reithray writes for GodzillaWins.com. You can find his full betting previews at Godzilla Wins. He likes to call Atlanta the NFL's only service academy. So if you like run game, watch the Falcons because they're going to run the ball a lot. Okay, let's move to the Vikings at Bears. Look, this game I'm actually excited about now because the Bears looked pretty good last week. They won a game on Thursday night. They've had a lot of rest here. Contrary to baseball, when you get a lot of rest in football, usually bodes well. The Vikings never beat anyone by more than 3 points. So the line, of course, for a Vikings favorite is going to be Vikings minus 3, over under 43.5 in Chicago in Soldier Field. Nate, do you think Minnesota is going to blow out the Bears, or have the Bears found the secret sauce?
I don't know if the Bears have found the secret sauce, but I do kind of like them here. I mean, it's kind of hard to overstate how important Justin Jefferson is to the Vikings offense, and what he allows sort of Kirk Cousins to do. I mean, both defenses are terrible. I think the over's a natural look here. It's like 43.5. It kind of dropped a bunch because everyone was worried about Justin Jefferson, but that total seems too low given how bad these defenses are. So I kind of like the over, and I kind of like Chicago just on the key number of 3. Obviously the offense looked a lot better last week against Washington. Minnesota's like not good anyways, and losing their best player is going to make them worse. This Chicago has to win this. If they're going to win, it has to be now. I mean, they got to do it without someone's best player.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thinking here, but it is Chicago, Dad. I mean, like, yeah, they won, but if they had lost, we'd be catching 6.5, even without Justin Jefferson. So is this spread too short? Is this a good opportunity for you to catch Minnesota? Hold on, you're muted. You're muted, Dad.
Still muted.
Not exactly sure what's going on with his.
Good.
Oh, there we
I'm
go.
good. So look, Minnesota, forget it. All right, they're done. 1-4. They're not going to make the playoffs. Justin Jefferson's out. That's like their number one player. Chicago's got something to play for. They put a really good game together last week. I'm getting 3 at home against a dead team without their best player. This might be the best bet of the weekend. Bears +3. Don't look back, Jack.
Yeah,
I like that. Don't look back, Jack. It's good.
Right. Yeah. I hit the road, Jack. Ray Charles. Shout out to Ray Charles. Okay. So Vikings at Bears. Yeah. Look, I kind of like the Vikings. I just think this line is too short. I don't care just Justin Jefferson or not. The problem with the Bears is that they're just not that good, and they played one game. And the Vikings are a better team than the record shows. I think this is probably a blowout. I think it would be a 6 or 7 point spread if the Bears hadn't won and the Vikings didn't suck so bad at the beginning of the season. I think the Vikings will be fine. I think they'll win some games. They're not going to go 2-15. So I like the Vikings here -3. I also like the over at 43.5. I don't think either plays really defense that well. So, we'll see. Now, Dad, now you're in a casino now, but you're not in your favorite casino, because your favorite casino, of course, is Rosie's Gaming Emporium. You guys are there all the time. They've got their Colonial Downs, their horse track, which is just incredible. So much fun to be in. If you're in Virginia, Dad, tell us how you can get involved with Rosie's Gaming Casino.
Rosie'sGaming.com, baby. They got so many locations. They got Vinton by Roanoke. They got Collinswood by Danville. They're opening up Emporia. They got South Richmond right by our studios. They've got Hampton. It's just all over the place. New Kent, which is where Colonial Downs is. And, of course, Northern Virginia and Dumfries. Here's why I love Rosie's, right? They got the biggest jackpots and the biggest payouts. Simple. So if you like playing the slots, if you like having fun, you want to take your date there, food is great, atmosphere is fantastic. But the bottom line is they have a smaller take in Virginia. That was what the state legislature passed when they finally got there. They got a smaller takeout than any of the other casinos, certainly the one that we're here, Rivers in Pittsburgh. So that's why the jackpots are bigger, the payouts are bigger, and it's a fun atmosphere. It's clean, it's crisp. All the people are nice. They got a great staff no matter where you go. Plus they got OTB. They got betting on football, basketball, all that. All that's there. Just go to rosiesgaming.com. Rosiesgaming.com. You're good to go.
We want to always thank Rosie's. They've been a number one supporter of us for a very long time, and we are really proud to be partnering with them. Okay, let's move on now. Seahawks at Bengals. This game, Nate, talk about a game that is just tailor-made for you. You're a huge Bengals guy, and you love the Seahawks. I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know if you have Sunday ticket, but if you do, I know you're watching Seahawks at Bengals out there on the West Coast about 10 o'clock. They're going to kick off there in Reno. Maybe you have to go to the casino, catch a little action. Seahawks +3. I don't know. Bengals haven't looked that good, but I understand why they're favored here in Cincy. Over under 45 is a little bit higher. Do you like the Bengals? You've been on the Bengals all year. I kind of think that's where you're leaning.
No, I like the Seahawks here. The Seahawks are, I think, just a better team. I just 3, especially now that it moved back to 3. It was kind of 2.5 earlier in the week, and then it moved back up to 3. I think Seattle's got to be the play here. The Bengals just haven't done that much to impress me. I mean, yeah, they had like an offensive explosion last week against the Cardinals, but like the Cardinals are terrible. I mean, the Cardinals are just like not very good. Seattle's done nothing to sort of, deter me from thinking that they're above average basically at everything. They have pretty good defense, a better offense, good special teams. They just look fine. So I'm happy to take Seahawks +3 here against a Bengals team that just seems to be struggling to find its identity.
Dad, you like Cincy? I like Cincy.
I'm gonna go with the Seahawks. There was a day when teams from the West Coast traveling to the East Coast playing an early game, just out of a rote, you bet against them. But Seattle just doesn't seem to bother them. This is a really solid football team that stays in a lot of games. And Cincinnati's kind of like the Titans. From one week to the next, you have no earthly idea who the hell is showing up. Seattle's been consistent. 3 points here's a lot. I'm going to take the field goal and go with the Seahawks.
Yeah. I mean, I just like the Bengals here. I think that they're kind of due for a blowout. I think they're putting things together at the right time. I like them in Cincinnati. I don't have any interest in, them traveling to Cincinnati. First of all, it's not the East Coast. Second of all, everyone in the NFL, I would hope, is taking healthy cell REM sleep and at least REM sleep, if not the focus gel as well for focus. But they're, they're rest and recovering there. I'm sure I would hope they're using healthy cell. If they're not, they should be. That would help with any jet lag. Hit up a little healthy cell, no problem there. So I like the Bengals. I just think they probably are due for a blowout. I think -3 isn't too much to lay. I haven't been that impressed with Seattle this year. So I'm really just really going to go with Cincinnati here. So we shall see. Now, let's move on to Niners at Browns. Okay, this game, very interested in seeing what happens because, look, the Niners are a 10-point favorite. Most of that's due to the fact that they blew the doors or they beat the Cowboys out the frame. That's a saying that I picked up from my students. Beat them out the frame. I don't really know what it means, but sounds cool. Which is what it's like to be 17. You just say things that sound cool. You know what they mean. So Cowboys got their butts kicked last week, so now we got this huge spread. Niners -10, Browns +10. I don't know. The Browns aren't that bad. Over under 36.5. So both these teams have an incredible defense. Nate, I mean, is it too square to just bet the under with these two incredible defenses?
I don't think so. I mean, if it is, then you call me a square. I mean, I think the under's got to be the play here. Mostly owing to, I mean, we know what the Niners defense has been. It's good. They made Dallas look totally pedestrian, and Dallas had some sort of, good ideas about how things were going to go for their offense this year. Cleveland's defense has been unbelievable. And I think that the Niners getting to face a Cleveland team that seems to be in sort of quarterback turmoil. Deshaun Watson's out with the rotator cuff injury. So then it's either PJ Walker or Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Both of those options are bad. Both of those options will probably make the Niner defense look awesome. It's a low total, but it's low for a reason. Like, the Browns just aren't going to score very much. It's just a matter of, if this goes over, it's just because San Francisco ran the score up on them because nobody seems to be able to stop them.
Yeah, look, Dad, I mean, you're not really an over-under guy, so I doubt you're interested in the over-under, but -10 is a lot. It's not like the Browns suck. You're muted. Oh, there you go.
Here's why I love Cleveland. One reason, right? With 10. First of all, they're at home. Second of all, this game that San Francisco played last week against Dallas, you can't sit here and tell me that this wasn't a breakout emotional game for them. I mean, they basically crushed Dallas and left no doubt, Nate, no doubt. The thrashing that the Cowboys took on both sides of that ball, dominated in the line of scrimmage, dominated in the trenches, didn't have the speed. Dak throwing picks at the wazoo, under pressure the entire game. This was a statement. Hey, we're the 49ers. Super Bowl runs through us. You can take your Cowboys and you can shove it. That's basically what they did. Now they got to fly across country to Cleveland, go to Ohio, go to the dog pound with that crazy elf emblem in the middle of the field. That thing is that thing is intimidating. But look, it's just a letdown. This is a letdown game. I can see it written all over it. Everybody's going to be all over the Niners. This is a letdown game. I love the Browns plus 10.
Yeah, I mean, letdown or not, it's just such a big spread for a team that has such a great defense. The Cowboys, that blowout, I mean, Dak threw 3 picks. So, and the Cowboys are, they're like rain. I mean, they're rain or shine, right? They're feast or famine. If they're playing well, they're playing well. They play with a lot of momentum and they score a lot of points. But when they implode and when Dak does this, they suck. I mean, that's just how it is. And the Niners are the best team in the NFC. So if you're going to throw 3 picks, you might want to do it against like the Broncos, not the Niners. So I think this spread's too juiced up. I like the Browns plus 10, but the real play here is the under at 36.5. The Niners don't have to score a lot to win this game. It's going to be a defensive match. They're not going to stretch Brock Purdy and make him do too much. So I think that the under 36.5, I think this game probably ends up 17-10, something like that. So we'll see. Okay, let's move on to the Saints at Texans. We know Dad's got to go here in a minute, but we don't want to let him go without at least talking about the New Orleans Saints and his second favorite team, maybe the Houston Texans, trending in the right direction at the right time.
Screw the Texans. I have no interest in the Texans. Screw the Texans. Screw Indianapolis. Screw Jacksonville. Screw them all.
Okay, so that's some strong words from the division.
Searing analysis.
Yeah, searing analysis. We love that. No, I mean, this is the thing. Okay, well, how about this? The city, Houston's all jacked up. They got World Series or the ALCS coming to town same day on Sunday. I mean, we got a Saints game. I mean, this could be a big day for Houston, Nate. I think plus 1.5 here. I don't understand why the Texans. I think the Texans should be favored in every game, at least -1. This team's so good. Maybe they're not that good, but I think they're good. What do you think, Nate? You like the plus 1.5? You got to, right? I mean, the Saints. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even taking the points. I'll just take the Texans on the money line. I mean, my Houston Texans fandom has been well known since we started the season. I love the Texans, and they just keep getting better, even though they lost last week. CJ Stroud still showed a lot. I mean, he drove him right down the field at the end of the game, to take the lead before the defense kind of folded up on him, and they lost it. But they looked good still, and they just keep getting better, and they keep getting healthier, which is more important for the Texans. So I don't have that many concerns about them here. The knock on Stroud and how he's looked so far this season is he's not very good if he gets a little bit of pressure. That's good for them this week because the Saints are basically among the worst teams in defensive line pressure, pressuring quarterback, etc. So, he will have time. I just can't imagine that he doesn't sort of dice up this Saints defense that just can't force him into quick decisions. So yeah, this is a no-brainer for me. I love the Texans in this game.
Okay, Dad, you must like the Saints. I mean, you can't bet the Texans.
There's no way I'm betting it to Texans. I love New Orleans in this game. You know what? Saints.
Why?
Because they're not getting any love, right? They're just not getting love. And this
They're
team
favored.
Is very competitive.
Yeah.
1.5 against Texas. I think the Saints. They're a better team than meets the eye. They beat us at home. Now they got to go to Houston, but I like the way the Saints team has come together. So I'm going to go with the Saints here minus the 1.5.
I like the under at 42. I don't think either team really scores that much, and I love the Saints defense. Look, Dennis Allen's the defensive coach, and he can give young quarterbacks a lot of fits. I've seen that happen multiple times. They bring a lot of pressure, and I just don't think CJ Stroud is going to be adept enough at picking up that pressure to take advantage of the blown or the open field downfield. Not that he can. He's got a great arm, but I like kind of both defenses here. I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think the over-under is misplaced. I think it should be set up at 40 at least. We shall see. We want to thank my dad, John Frederick, the Godzilla.
Wait, I can stay. I can stay because Mom just got up, so I got time. Just got up, so I can stay. If you want me to stay. Or I can.
Sure, yeah, we love having you. It's always a pleasure. Okay, let's move on then to the Colts at Jaguars. So we'll stay in the AFC South here for the Colts at Jags. Colts +4, going down to Jacksonville where it's cooled off, so maybe the heat won't bother them as much. I'm gonna start here with Dad, over under 44. The reason I'm gonna start here with you, Dad, is because I think you watch more AFC South football than most people because you watch the Titans. But even though you hate Indianapolis, you sort of like Indianapolis as a team this year. So as +4, I'm thinking you're probably going to catch the points, right?
Yes. This team. Look, they beat us last week. They beat us on the line of scrimmage. That often doesn't happen. Titans got to get back to what their identity is. But the bottom line is, Indianapolis won the trenches last week against one of the best teams in winning the trenches, and that's Tennessee. This is a very physical team. And now I don't know if AR's in or not. I'm not sure. I know he had the concussion, but Randy Minshew, whatever the guy's name is, Minshew comes in last week. He's been on like 19 teams. He came in. He did a really capable job. They got a good run game. They had a lot of guys open at the sticks, and their defense. Look, Tennessee had a chance to win the game on the 4-yard line. 8 minutes to go, down by 4. 4th and 1, and they stuffed Henry. Is it not a good design play? But I think Indianapolis is for real, and you got to respect this team. And getting 4, I think this is a field goal. This is a field goal game, so I'm going to go with Indianapolis here over the Jags, taking the 4. Close,
yeah, I mean
game.
This is a lot of points. It's a divisional game. I mean, it's not like the Colts can't win it. They do have an impressive run defense. I mean, they have all the tools. They've had them for a couple of years. I don't know if they're putting them together. They're also fighting for a first place spot here.
Yes, right.
So what do you think, Nate?
I love Indy here. This is I think this is just an awesome spot to bet Indy. Yes, Anthony Richardson is out. Yes, it was also an incredible dart throw to guess Randy as Gardner Minshew's first name. Awesome job on that. But Gardner Minshew's good for the Colts. He's 3-0 in games that he's played over half the game. He might be an upgrade to Anthony Richardson at some point. I know they're trying to get Anthony Richardson reps, but Gardner Minshew's like actually a pretty decent, like very good backup and like decent quarterback. And I think that the part that we haven't talked about is the Jaguars have just spent 2 weeks in London, and now they're flying back to play an early game in Indy. I just don't love it. So against Indy. So I don't, this just feels like if there is ever a jet lag or travel weird spot, we've never seen a team that's gone 2 weeks in London and then come back. We don't know how that's going to look. So I love Indy here.
Yeah, look, John M on Getter says jet lag Jags. Love that nickname there, jet lag Jags. Here's another thing y'all haven't thought of. Gardner Minshew has played a lot of games in Jacksonville. That's where he started his career. Right. And so he's going to be comfortable down there on that field as well. I just kind of feel like maybe the wrong team is favored, but Indy's very hard to understand. They're like all those AFC South teams. You just never know what you're going to get each week. But yeah, Minshew, really good. I think the Jags are really trading off the fact that everybody thinks they are, the team from last year, and they've looked pretty good, but not as good as last year. I think where they were surprising everybody. They're at home, divisional game. 4 points is too many. 1.5, maybe I take Jacksonville, but 4, the Indy's not a dumpster fire, and this is a divisional game with some pretty important ramifications. I think the Colts think they can make the playoffs, Minshew or Richardson. So, I think we'll see here. I'm with you guys. I like the +4. I say take the money. This is an interesting game for a lot of different reasons. Should be a lot of fun, and the Jags got to get back from London, which is difficult. That's just it's a difficult thing to do. So we shall see. Okay, Panthers at Dolphins. Biggest spread of the week here. Dolphins are -14. 47.5 is the over. Nate, I think the Dolphins can beat the over by themselves. I think they can probably just score 50. I don't think the Panthers have the defense that can really stop them. I don't know if 14 on principle, I think too many, but what do you think?
I'm kind of leaning towards just laying the points with Miami if you're going to play this game. I probably won't bet it. It's sort of like against my code to lay these huge numbers, but like Miami just looks so much better than the Panthers. I mean, the Panthers are just not good. Bryce Young just doesn't quite look like he's acclimating to the NFL as quickly as maybe some had hoped. Frank Reich's already doing his sort of head coaching thing, which sort of torpedoes teams. It seems like Miami, yeah, I mean, I think Miami probably could go over. It's just a matter of if they want to. I mean, I just don't see how Carolina puts up much of a fight against them. So, I think that the play is probably the Dolphins minus 14, but I'm not feeling strong about it just because their defense sometimes is a little shaky.
Dad, okay, this is a huge moment in the show. All right. Now, I know every week you say the same thing about the Panthers. Let's skip that because it's boring, and you don't have to complain about Frank Reich. We all know how you feel about him. He sucks. This is a huge moment on the show, Dad, because Nate just laid 14 points. 14 points. We've been doing the show 2 years. I don't think he's ever laid 14 points in a game. He's over here booking a 14-point. So, I mean, this is your game. Like, Dad, if there's ever a game where you are just
all in on the favorite.
All in on the favorite. It's got to be this game.
Plus, this game, plus 14. I'd lay 21. I'd probably lay 25. This is going to be a rout in Miami. They don't have the speed to keep up with this team. The two of them, this is like a track meet. This is like, hey, let's throw the ball around the lot and have some fun out in the backyard after Thanksgiving with the family. They're gonna lay a 50 spot on this Carolina team. And Nate, I'm proud of you because you got to get outside the box, man. And finally, you're seeing good teams crush lousy teams. But the key to this game in the 14 is speed. And we found out with the Dolphins, once they get in this groove and Tua starts throwing the ball, throwing these 30-yard guys all open, they just got too many weapons. And so, yeah, Carolina, maybe they get a touchdown or two. We all know about Miami's suspect defense, but they don't score either. This game to me, 56-10, 49-7, 38-3. This is going to be an absolute blowout. Laying 14, I'm proud of you. Finally stepping up, showing a little wood chopping. Good for you, Nate. Blowout. Dolphins.
Blowout. I mean, Nate, it's a historic
Nate
moment.
Laying 14, baby. I mean, wow.
It's a historic moment on the show.
Okay, you're back in the family will.
Back in the will, just from laying 14.
We cut you out.
Yeah.
I love that Nate lays 14 and you say play it up to 25. Nate, if you have DraftKings up, I would love to see if you can get an alt spread on the line on Dolphins minus 25. We do not recommend here at Godzilla Wins that you ever play an NFL team minus 25, but I bet you get some good plus money. So Nate may be able to check that out for us.
It's going to take a minute. You got to really move the scroller over.
Oh, that's totally, yeah. You got to go pretty far to see. But when you have it, you
minus 25 will get you plus 325 odds.
There you go, Dad.
Think about that. It's only 3-1, and you're going to lay 25 points. It's only 3-1.
Yeah, but I mean, every time the Panthers get a first down, you're going to be sweating, which might be a good thing. It could be kind of fun, actually. The Dolphins get out to a 14-point lead, and then the Panthers score a field goal, and you're like, oh my God, I still need the Dolphins to win, to score 6 more touchdowns to cover. So it could be a lot of fun, but plus 325 on the money there. Play it up to minus 25. Never seen that on another website. That's the kind of searing analysis you're going to get here at Godzilla Wins. Listen, one of the reasons that is so sharp on those bets is that he takes a lot of Healthy Cells products. And one of the ones that I want to talk about, Dad, that I really love is their Focus and Recall products here. Focus and Recall. I've got a huge, a long 4-hour test coming up. I do. I mean, I've got this long test coming up. And next week,
just remember that Randy Minshew plays for the Colts.
Yeah,
he was a member. Randy Minshew was a member of the House of Delegates in Virginia. That's all I know.
Yeah, Randy Minshew. Yeah, that's right. Play, from Virginia's 7th district to the to the field in Jacksonville. Randy
He used to
Minshew.
play at the vet.
Yeah, that's what I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure he did. We all remember the vet.
I really, you know what? I really need to take focus and recall. Right? I don't take it because I take the joint and mobility and REM sleep. But after this segment, I am going to go out as soon as I get my car and Ann's driving to Morgantown today. I am going to get Healthy Cell focus and recall so I can remember that they blew the vet up in 2004.
You just have this memory that's like it's just like a dad. It really is. Like you can't remember that they blew up the vet. You can't remember anyone's name, but like you remember the last time someone didn't take a knee when they were supposed to and fumble. So like it's not like you can't remember things. It's just like that you're only remembering the things that are important to you, which is that's I guess that's true of everybody, but it's Gardner Minshew. That's his name. Look, focus and recall. You go to healthycell.com. This is the good stuff right here. Keeps you focused, keeps your memory sharp. There's a lot of natural sort of foods that you can do to boost your brain power. So you can, with Healthy Cell, you can take advantage of all their products here. But I like the focus and recall. I live kind of a stressful job, and I got a lot of stuff going on. So focus and recall really helps me kind of sharpen my mind, a mind that is already pretty sharp. Sharpening it any more, Nate, could be dangerous. So maybe I'll take focus and recall, but not don't want to overkill it. Really screw everything else for everybody else. But Dad definitely needs it. Pump Dad full of Healthy Cell and wake him up out of bed and see if he can function throughout the day as he likes to remind everybody he's a senior citizen. So things are really happening for him. Okay, let's talk a little about the Patriots at Raiders. So this is a game, Nate, that nobody wants to watch, but I think everybody wants to bet. Like this is one of the games I am seeing everywhere. People are like Patriots,
really
Raiders,
true?
Patriots, Raiders. So Patriots -3, over under 42. What do you think?
What are people betting?
I don't know, but I mean, I'm seeing it everywhere.
I mean, I think the under has to be the play here if you're going to bet it. I mean, it's going to be on like the local channels where I live, so of course I'll be watching it, even though I don't want to. I mean, I think the under has to be the play here. I mean, the Patriots are just horrible on offense. Mac Jones is a disaster. They can't run the ball at all. They looked terrible against New Orleans. But the defense is still pretty good. I mean, New Orleans scored 34, in that 34-0 win. But they only scored 21 of those on offense. 13 came because the Patriots kept turning it over in their own territory. So, I think the under has to be the player. I just can't imagine both these teams just like get loose and score a ton of points.
I love this game. I don't know why you're not going to watch. I think this is going to be a fun game. It is good for all the Belichick haters to sit there and see Belichick go, 1-5? And now they're talking about his job's on the line. And, see him like do this thing with his face where he's all stressed out. And meantime, we got Mark Davis there. Look, just betting the Raiders at home and seeing Mark Davis sit all alone in his box seat with that haircut he's got. Like, who the hell cuts this guy's hair? He's a football owner. I mean, it's like somebody put a cheese ball on his head and just zipped it. So just that alone is worth watching a game between Mark Davis and Bill Belichick. The Raiders are going to win this game. New England is pathetic. I mean, losing at home to the Saints at 34-0 or something. They're going to go 1-5. They're out of the playoffs. Belichick's got a host of problems. And Vegas is an up and down team, but they got a pretty good defense. I love Vegas at home here, -3. And besides, if Mac Jones is the answer, it's a pretty stupid question. I'll tell you that right now. That guy is worse than Daniel Jones. Can you believe the Giants paid this guy Daniel Jones $140 million? I mean, some of the things going on in the NFL is incredible. So Mac Jones, Daniel Jones, they all horrible. I'm going with the Raiders -3.
Yeah, I like the Patriots. I don't see the Raiders love here. I think the Patriots are better than their record, and I think the defense is like a real defense. They have had trouble of course, with their quarterback play, and that's been plaguing their ability to win. But I think they can cover a spread here against the lowly Raiders, who aren't any better either. So I kind of like the Patriots at +3. I think that's not a bad bet here. I think the Patriots are another team where they're not going to go 3-14. At some point, they're going to win football games. They might not win a ton of games, but they're going to win 6 or 7, and you have to figure out where they're going to win them. And they can definitely beat the Raiders in Vegas. So I like the +3. I might even take them on the money. I think they're a better team than Vegas. So, I think we will see how that plays out. Okay, let's go down to Tampa Bay. We're going to go back to Florida here. Detroit Lions, everybody's favorite team. Traveling down to Tampa Bay, they've been a plucky team here. I mean, Tampa Bay's pretty good. It seems like Baker has sort of found a home finally, and Detroit looks really good. This is a 3-point spread again, so the Lions are a 3-point favorite on the road, and it's a over/under is 42. So what do you think here, Nate? I kind of like the Bucks.
I kind of like the Bucks too. This probably isn't a play for me, but I kind of lean towards the Bucks. I mean, they're coming off a bye. I guess my hesitance with the Bucks is that they're a little bit of a paper tiger. I don't think that their offense is as good with Baker Mayfield as some people are saying. I was reading something about how, they're basically like among the worst teams on first down, and then they're like the best team on third down. That's typically not like a sustainable trend for an offense to just be world beaters on third down for the whole season. So at some point they'll regress. But I'm also not as high on the Lions, and I know that the Lions are probably going to be getting a lot of public love because, they've beaten the Falcons, Packers, and Panthers pretty easily in the last 3 weeks. None of those teams are particularly good, so that's a little bit inflated too. I mean, I lean Buccaneers, but at some point the Buccaneers will start to get worse. I just don't know when it'll be.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just like the +3. I don't think the Lions are going to blow anybody out, and they're on the road here. Dad, you like the Lions, though. I mean, you're a big Lions guy.
Now, trap game. I know you guys have something you call a square bet or something. I don't even know what that is. This is a trap game, okay? Look at the Lions, how good they are, -3, going to Tampa, right? It's a game where Lions are going to get a lot of money here. This is a trap game. How the Bucks keep winning, I don't know. How Baker Mayfield keeps winning, I don't know. But all I know is they're very competitive. They keep winning. Lions have got their hands full here. This is a game they're going to overlook. I love Tampa +3. I think they win the whole game. Trap game.
Yeah.
Whoa, I lay 14 and John makes a rare sharp play. Wow.
Yeah.
What a show.
For real. I mean,
a
year ago, he would have been like, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers suck, and the Lions are good. And teams that are good always beat teams that suck by at least 4. So it's nice to see that you made a real sharp play here. We're all evolving, except for me. I don't evolve. I stopped evolving a couple of years ago. I made that choice to stop changing. But I'm glad that you guys have evolved here as well. I never learn from my mistakes. That's why I am who I am. So let's go now to the Cardinals at Rams. I don't change. I made that a couple years ago. I was like, nah, I'm done changing. So I just figure
Are you
I'm
still
I'm
a
good.
vegetarian?
A vegan? Yeah, sometimes. I mean, I don't know. Now that I do change, I like cheese, so that's a tough one. Very fundamentalist diet, the vegan diet.
There's gonna be no Thanksgiving when you're here for 5 days of Thanksgiving. This is a vegan free zone, dude. It's gonna be no. Maybe Mama makes a celery sticks. Other than that, there's some vegan.
Yeah, you don't make celery
The
sticks.
turkey's like this big, right?
Yeah, you just buy celery.
Are you gonna make the stuffing again?
Sure. I don't know why we're setting the family Thanksgiving menu on live radio, but yeah, I mean, I suppose if you want me to make some food, I will. Why don't we go to the Cardinals at Rams for a minute here before we get to the Eagles Jets? Cardinals Rams. I don't know. I was big on the Rams, but geez, you got to lay 7. I mean, the Cardinals are kind of, they're not good, but they're not. I don't know, Nate. I don't know what to think about this game. I mean, Cardinals +7 for 8.5. You got to play. I mean, this is weird. I don't know about this game.
I mean, I guess it's the Rams. I mean, the Rams are kind of surprising me. they look a lot better than I thought they would. I don't. And maybe the Cardinals overperformed for the first couple weeks, and we thought they were good, and now they're like actually like sort of being exposed as not very good. I think it's got to be the Rams or pass here. Myself, I think I'm done. I think I'm stepping off the Cardinals train, and sort of just I think it's got to be the Rams.
Dad, what do you think? I mean,
I can't pick this game. I'm sorry. I know I'm supposed to pick all the games. I have no interest. I can't pick this game. I'm certainly not going to lay 7 with the Rams. I don't care who they're playing. I don't like the Cardinals. So to me, this is like, I got to find something else to do at 4:30 on a Sunday. It's certainly not going to be watching this game. I have no pick. I don't care.
okay, so more searing analysis there. We don't care about this game. It is a tough game to pick. I don't like the spread either. So we'll move on to our saucy game of the week here. Eagles -6.5 plus the Jets against the Jets going to New York. Big fan of our saucy game of the week here. I'm really excited about this. Jets +6.5, 46.5 point over under in New York in the Meadowlands. Eagles world beaters. Jets 3-2. They've been difficult to put away, Dad, at times. We're going to start with you, saucy game of the week. Tell us a little bit about Red State Barbecue, then give us your pick. We know you love the JETS Jets.
Well, I'm going to be, after this 9:30 game where I actually have to get up in the morning and not go to church and watch the Titans play. I'm going to be making something. I'm going to be grilling something. I'm going to go outside and I'm going to be grilling, and I'm going to have my Red State BBQ with me. I got 7 different flavors. I like the Memphis. I like the Texas spicy. There's a whole bunch of sauces here. But if you like to grill, if you like to have fun eating, right, and you like barbecue sauce, you are never going to get anything better than this. And I'm just telling you straight out. I don't recommend anything that I don't use. I even have 2 bottles in my studio in the refrigerator for when I get something to eat. I put the sauce on it. Go to redstatebbq.com. Promo code Godzilla10. You're going to get 10% off. Big sponsor of ours, but great people. Try it because it's really, really, really good. And Jack says we should have a saucy game card. redstatebbq.com. Promo code Godzilla. Do it now. Just order some. Plus, they're our sponsor, and you're going to love it, and you're going to thank us. You're going to say, wow, I love my Red State BBQ.
Yeah. I've got the pork dry rub in my house right now. I ordered that last week, and I'll use that for something. Probably those celery sticks that I may have made so famous in the last couple minutes. Maybe I'll throw some pork dry rub on that. But really, we love Red State BBQ. Go to Red State BBQ. Put in the promo code Godzilla10. This is our saucy game of the week here. Eagles -6.5 traveling to New York. Dad, we'll start with you. You love the Jets here, but I don't know. I mean, Eagles are pretty tough. What do you think?
This is another game. This is another game where you've got to look beyond the obvious. The obvious play here for a lot of people is, look, take the Jets. They beat Denver last week. Wilson's playing better. They got the great defense. 6.5. They're at the Meadowlands. They're not playing Denver. They're playing Philadelphia. They're playing the best defense this side of San Francisco. I see the Jets here getting shut out, honestly. This game, 21-3, 24-6. I mean, how are they going to score? How is Zach Wilson actually going to score on this team? I love the Jets defense. I love Robert Saleh. I love what they got going on there. I love what they put together. But you know what? This is the NFL. This is Sunday. This is the Philadelphia Eagles. This is crunch time. And here's the deal, Robert. I love you, brother, but you do not have an NFL quarterback in any sort of a big game. Denver is not a big game when they suck. Okay, this is a big game. This is a powerhouse team coming up the turnpike that you're going to have to score points to win. You're not going to shut them out. They are going to score, and you have no answer. They get up by 2 touchdowns. This game is over. You have no answer. I'm going to go with Philadelphia. I'm going to lay the 6.5. I know a lot of Jets fans out there think this is the play of the week. This is another Lions-Tampa trap game. Eagles -6.5 big.
Nate, I mean, I kind of like the over/under. 46.5. Like the Jets don't, the Eagles don't have to score if they don't want to.
40.5.
Oh, never mind. I wrote it down wrong. Never mind. I don't like the under. Go ahead.
I mean, I still like the under though.
Okay.
I like the under just because I mean we kind of know what the Jets look like on offense, right? And they'll struggle to score against Philly, like John said. I think that's probably true. But I'm still leaning sort of towards the under. I mean, some numbers here in the last 17 games the Jets have played, they've scored 41 or fewer points total in the game 14 out of the 17 times. That's pretty strong argument towards the under. But I also like the Jets here. I don't agree with John that like the sharp play is the Jets. I don't think that's necessarily true, and I don't think it's a public play for sure because people think the Jets suck. But I think that they can hang around here just because Philly doesn't like shut anyone out. They're winning by an average of just a little over 7 points a game. This line is basically right on that number. I think the Jets can hang around here. Philly's struggled to close out worse teams than the Jets. So I think there's a backdoor open for the 7, turns into a 4-point game late and some stupid field goal.
The Phillies play baseball, Nate.
What?
The Phillies play baseball.
Did I say? I think I said Philly. Did I say Phillies?
Yeah, I think you said the Phillies.
Oh, sorry. I was talking about Philly, the Eagles.
The Eagles. I don't know. I mean, the problem with the Eagles, like in the Jets here, is that they do have an amazing defensive line. And so you put a bunch of pressure on Zach and like, oh man. I mean, giving Zach like not a lot of options and then making him run around, even though people say that's kind of where he's most comfortable. I've never seen it. All I do is see him like throw it in the stands or throw it off people's helmets or like just like trip and fall. I mean, the pass rush is pretty good. You love the Jets defense. They're really incredible. So I don't know, 40.5 maybe. I just think the Eagles don't feel like they have to blow this game out of the water to win. But I don't like the 6.5 at all. I'm kind of scared of that. So, all right, we got 2 more games to go here. And I want to do the saucy game of the week for that one because I think it's the most interesting. So we'll go quickly through these 2 games. This one's a snooze. Giants at Bills. This was the largest spread of the week, so I got this wrong. Bills -15, over under 44. Nate, 30 seconds. You want to take another?
Do it, Nate. Do it.
No, not doing it.
Do it, Nate. You can do it.
This is actually just purely on principle. I played the Giants money line.
Oh wow!
Like 8-1 is just absurd.
8-1
for an NFL money line. They're plus 800. Like that's just not a thing. Like in the last, looking back to like, I don't know, the numbers I have here are since 2018. If you have a money line longer than 750, they're 4-17 straight up. So that's like basically 1-5. So 5-1 it seems like fair odds. 8-1 seems like crazy odds. I mean, like this is still the NFL. Crazy stuff happens every week. Like I'll take 8-1. That's just silly.
Yeah, look, Dad. I mean, like Buffalo has shot themselves in the foot before. Maybe they can do it again.
They don't have a quarter. Look, they didn't have a quarterback with Daniel Jones. Now they definitely don't have a quarterback with some new guy coming in. They got off the practice squad. Listen, Giants are not going to win this game. Maybe it's the Buffalo wins by 14. Cover. It's another one of these games. Never bet a team that's not going to win because you think maybe they get a backdoor cover. Just not a good strategy. Buffalo blowout. Giants disaster. All the talk about the Giants and the great coach, D-Ball, this, that, blah, 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 right? You pay your quarterback $140 million. Now what do you do, right? Now you got salary cap issues going out the wazoo for years. It was the most worst decision the franchise has ever made. They got a long history of bad decisions. Paying this guy $140 million, Daniel Jones, he's horrible. And now you're stuck because of the salary cap. It's not like the Mets owner that could just jettison Verlander and Scherzer and pay half a salary. They're screwed now for a long time. Buffalo, big. Giants are done.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like, I'm with Nate, 8-1, too much. Just take Giants money line. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, you lay $10, you win 80.
What's going to happen is they're going to lose. That's what's going to happen.
Well, not everybody like throws like their house on these games. Like you can throw $15 on a game and win 100.
Well, that's true.
So, okay.
That's true.
30 seconds. We're very tight for time here.
Let's
Cowboys
roll.
at Chargers. Nate, go ahead with the Cowboys minus 2.5, over under 51. What do you think?
If there was ever a time to buy low, it's on the Cowboys now. After that embarrassment, I mean, laying 2.5, the Chargers still don't show me that they can win meaningful games, even though Austin Eckler's back, even though Dallas looked terrible. This just looks like a spot where Dallas can kind of get right. So Dallas.
Dad, 15 seconds.
Dallas, and more Dallas. Comeback week, redemption, Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean 2.5 it's too short. You know, I mean it's just because they got blown out last week. They're a better team than that. Cowboys minus 2.5. That's our show. I want to thank everyone for listening. As always, go to GodzillaWins.com for all of your sports analysis and predictions. Look, we got a lot of stuff going on GodzillaWins.com. We set that stuff up every day. We publish a lot of articles. So go ahead, go to GodzillaWins.com. We want to thank Dan Angel, Darian Kelly, and as always, Nate Perry and John Fredericks for the show. We will be back next week, 8 a.m. sharp Eastern time. Can't wait to see you. Have a good week and good luck, everybody. Have fun. We will see you next week.
Go Stros.